Welcome to American Times, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Stay informed with the latest updates and in-depth coverage of the stories that matter most. On August 10, 2025, two large China Coast Guard vessels collided northwest of Scarborough Shoal during what were supposed to be routine patrols in the contested waters of the South China Sea. The incident took place in a region already fraught with tension and international scrutiny. The weather was clear, the sea calm, making the accident all the more baffling to both onlookers and maritime experts. There were no storms, no rough waves, and visibility was perfect, leaving many to wonder how such a mishap could occur under ideal conditions. Satellite imagery soon confirmed the worst. Both ships were badly damaged, their hulls torn and equipment scattered, left adrift and vulnerable in open waters. The images quickly circulated among intelligence agencies and maritime watchers. Chinese maritime militia boats scrambled to assist, racing to the scene in a flurry of activity. But the irony was clear. China's own aggressive tactics in these waters had, in a twist of fate, backfired spectacularly. For years, these very ships had harassed smaller Philippine vessels with dangerous maneuvers, asserting dominance and intimidating their neighbors. Now, their own recklessness and overconfidence exposed a glaring gap between China's assertive posturing and its actual operational competence at sea. The crews, visibly shaken, scrambled to assess the damage and restore order. News of the collision spread rapidly across the globe, despite a conspicuous silence from Chinese state media. Social media buzzed with speculation and memes, amplifying the embarrassment. International observers quickly pieced together the story, turning what might have been a simple accident into a full-blown geopolitical spectacle. Analysts debated the implications for regional security and China's image. For the Philippines, the sight of two disabled Chinese ships was a moment of unexpected strategic significance, a rare opportunity to highlight China's vulnerabilities on the world stage. The tables had, if only briefly, turned. Manila saw its chance to press its claims and rally international support, seizing the moment with renewed confidence. The collision didn't happen in isolation. It was the result of years of rising tensions. Since the 2016 Arbitral Tribunal ruling, China has only intensified its presence in the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. Chinese vessels have routinely blockaded and harassed Philippine missions to Ayungin and Scarborough Shoals. Under President Marcos Jr., Manila adopted a more assertive, transparent approach, publicizing Chinese aggression and gaining international support. This strategy increased both global awareness and the frequency of dangerous encounters. China responded with even more forceful actions, including lasers and water cannons. The region was on edge, fearing a miscalculation could spark wider conflict. The Chinese collision shattered Beijing's image of infallibility and gave the Philippines a rare moment of vindication. The Philippine response was swift and calculated. Within hours, the Philippine Coast Guard dispatched the BRP Gabriela Silang to the site, offering humanitarian aid in line with international law. Public statements were measured, expressing concern and reaffirming a commitment to peace, avoiding triumphalism. This positioned Manila as a responsible regional actor, contrasting sharply with China's chaos. Meanwhile, with Chinese ships distracted, the Philippine military executed a full, unimpeded resupply and reinforcement mission to the BRP Sierra Madre. This logistical triumph, long blocked by China, was accomplished under the cover of the incident. The Philippines demonstrated strategic maturity, combining humanitarian gestures, controlled messaging, and decisive action. It was a clear signal. Manila could exploit Beijing's mistakes and shape events in the West Philippine Sea. The nation was no longer a passive victim, but an agile player. Allies took notice. So did Beijing. With global attention focused on the tense waters of the South China Sea, the world watched as regional powers navigated a complex web of alliances and rivalries. President Marcos Jr. seized this pivotal moment to make a landmark statement on Taiwan, signaling a new era in Philippine foreign policy. At a high-profile national security forum, he broke from decades of diplomatic caution, directly linking the security of the Philippines to the stability of the Taiwan Strait, a move that surprised many observers. "The defense of the Philippines begins with peace in the region, including Taiwan," he declared, drawing applause and sparking immediate debate among policymakers. He emphasized not only the Philippines' alliance commitments, but also the safety and well-being of over 150,000 Filipinos living and working in Taiwan, underscoring the human dimension of this policy shift. This was the clearest and most assertive stance any Philippine president had ever taken on the issue, effectively drawing a red line for Beijing and signaling a new diplomatic posture. The timing was deliberate. Marcos capitalized on China's recent maritime embarrassments, using the moment to assert Philippine interests. Beijing's response was notably muted, as Chinese officials appeared wary of escalating tensions or appearing defensive on the global stage. Marcos's bold statement also strengthened ties with the United States, aligning Manila more closely with broader Indo-Pacific deterrence strategies and reassuring allies of the Philippines' commitment. In a single move, the Philippines elevated its strategic importance, sending a clear and unmistakable message to both allies and adversaries. The entire region took notice, recalibrating their own strategies. The diplomatic landscape had shifted dramatically, with new alliances and rivalries beginning to take shape. Manila was now firmly established as a key player in the evolving regional order, its voice resonating louder than ever before. The Chinese mishap in Marcos's Taiwan declaration sent shockwaves through Southeast Asia. Neighboring countries watched closely, quietly approving the exposure of Chinese fallibility. Manila's agile response became a new playbook for smaller states, leveraging international law, clear communication, and speed. Defense analysts in Vietnam and Malaysia noted how the Philippines outmaneuvered a larger adversary. The US, Japan, and Australia quickly voiced support, signaling that Manila's assertiveness was backed by powerful allies. Within ASEAN, the incident sparked debate about bolder responses to Chinese actions. Some members remained cautious, but others felt emboldened to push for a stronger, unified stance. The Philippines' moves challenged ASEAN's consensus-driven approach. The region's internal dynamics began to shift. Manila's actions had set a new standard for regional strategy. China's response was unusually subdued. Official statements were brief, avoiding mention of the Philippine offer of aid or Marcos's Taiwan remarks. The collision undermined years of Chinese propaganda about its Coast Guard's professionalism and invincibility. Questions arose about training and readiness, both at home and abroad. The successful Philippine resupply mission to Ayungin Shoal was a tangible strategic loss for Beijing. It exposed vulnerabilities in China's blockade and emboldened Manila for future operations. For once, China was forced into a reactive posture, its agenda set by others. The Philippines had seized the initiative, shaping the narrative and the outcome. Beijing's prestige took a hit. Philippine statecraft had scored a clear win. The August 2025 events marked a turning point for Philippine sovereignty. Manila proved it could move beyond defense, turning a Chinese mishap into a strategic victory. The episode boosted morale and validated the Marcos administration's assertive, transparent approach. The Philippines showed it could act decisively, not just protest. This shift from endurance to initiative signals a more dynamic future strategy. Marcos's Taiwan statement elevated the Philippines' role in regional security, strengthening alliances with the US, Japan, and Australia. The risks are real, but so are the deterrent benefits. The psychological dynamic changed. China was no longer seen as infallible. Filipino policymakers and service members gained new confidence. The biggest gain was belief in their own agency. The collision of two Chinese ships may seem minor, but its impact was profound. It exposed vulnerabilities, created opportunities, and reshaped strategy across the Indo-Pacific. The Philippines fused transparency with decisive action, turning the tables on China. The unimpeded resupply of the BRP Sierra Madre and the humanitarian offer were both strategic and symbolic victories. Marcos's Taiwan declaration amplified the moment, solidifying alliances and elevating Manila's role. The incident proved that strategy and initiative can overcome intimidation. The Philippines provided a new blueprint for smaller nations facing powerful adversaries. Even in the shadow of a giant, there is always room to maneuver.